Alright, boys and girls, so today is finally the day. If you're interested in learning how to sew a line design, then you will need these things. So I kind of wrote down the things that you're going to need. You're going to need your packet, of course. You're going to need a tack, and this is for creating our pattern. The office works as a pretty good background so that you're not poking on the desk and you're not poking on the floor. You need some tape, and this is for when we begin to use our thread. You're going to need one of these blunt needles, and I would really appreciate it if you'd work really hard not to lose these today. I don't want them on the floor, and they are kind of difficult to find, so I want to make sure that I keep up with these. And then, of course, this kind of thread. This is the thread that you need. If you want to do this during the summer, you can find this thread at Hobby Lobby. And you can find different spools. They have different colors, and you can create more of the line designs on your own time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to pick your design. And so since we're all beginners on this, we want to pick a very simple design so that we understand how to do that. So today I'm going to just start with this first design here, and actually I think I'll probably pick this one, the second one. And because we're going to be using a note card, and I want to make sure, maybe I'll go back and do this first one. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and begin with the first one. So since we're all using a note card, we want to make sure that our note card is lined up, and what we're going to do is slip this note card behind our packet. Now this will probably be one of the more trickier pieces because we're going to need to look for that outline. You're going to need to kind of see that outline here. I can see it. It's hard to see on the camera of where my where I'm going to be doing my punches. So I'm going to fit that there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tack, and I have to create a pattern. For those of you who know how to sew, creating a pattern is what you need when you're cutting your material, so you know how much material. So right now I can see that I have my line design matched up. Now this is going to be kind of tricky because I can tell my note card is not very big and it's going to barely fit. So you're going to need to be very careful when making this pattern. Okay, I think I'm lined up there. And now I'm just going to punch all of the holes for my letters, because this will be where I'm going to be putting my thread. So again, I'm just kind of punching it, and because I have that background of the office, it makes it a little bit easier. I have a kind of a spongy place to poke through. It's not a hard surface. If you tried to do this on a hard surface, it would not work very well. Alright, so it looks like I've punched through all my holes. I'm just kind of quickly going back over that. Something you want to remember when you're doing your bigger designs is making sure that your paper doesn't slip behind so that your holes are all nice and even. Okay, so now that I've got that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my paper back, and there's my line design piece. Okay, so now I don't need my packet anymore, and I've got my note card. And remember, your note card doesn't even have any letters, so that's why it's really important to make sure that you do the entire packet so you can get that pattern piece down. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle, and then I'm going to take some thread. And I usually, regardless of how big the design is, I don't want to pull off more than about, I would say, 3 feet at a time. Otherwise, it can get tangled, and then it just creates a mess. So I definitely want to, I had a little knot here. Let me cut that off. Alright, so I would say take your thread and go ahead and think about, 3 feet. So this is about a foot, that's about 2 feet, and that's about 3 feet. And when you get that, what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut it just like that. And when you cut it, you have a nice unfrayed piece, and you're going to take the eye of your needle and you're basically going to poke it through just like this. Sometimes it's good to put it in your mouth and just kind of make it moist and then pull it so that it goes through the eye of the needle easily. So there it is, and then you're going to pull it about, I don't know, 6 inches through and just hold it. Now if you were sewing, you would pull them equal and you would tie a knot, but we're not sewing material, so that's not necessary. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my note card, and I'm actually going to pull myself off a little piece of tape. So masking tape works really well, and I have plenty of this around the room. It'll be on my small group table, about a piece that big. And what I'm going to do is start from the bottom. I'm going to start where letter A would be. And so I'm poking this through, and I'm pulling it all the way until I have about this much. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that piece of tape and I'm going to tape it to the back of my note card. Now this is the back of my design. So now I've got that and I can pull. Remember, because it's paper, we don't want to pull too tight, because if we pull too tight, it will rip. So A will go to A. So I'm going to go ahead and punch through, and then I'm going to pull. And remember, you might want to hold towards the needle, towards the eye of your needle, so that, hold on just a minute, I think I've done something wrong here. I think I accidentally kind of got a loop in there. That's not what I want. Alright, so I'm pulling that just like that. So there's my first line. Now I'm going to go back underneath my note card, and I'm going to find letter B. So here's letter B right here. I'm poking my needle through. I'm going to pull that out, and again I'm going to pull by the eye of my needle so my thread doesn't slip through, and I'm going to pull gently, and then I'm going to go find my B and go down here. Again, pushing that through, holding the eye of your needle, and there is your second line. And then you're just going to continue this. So the next letter would be C, so that would be your third dot. So again, I start from the back, push up from the back to the front, and pull. And then I'm going to go back down through my third dot here. Again, I'm going to hold that thread around the eye. And sometimes we get a little tangled or a little hiccup every once in a while. So right now what I've got is I've got 3 lines started. Now I can tell that I'm about to lose my thread, so I'm going to pull it through a little bit more so that I don't have to re-thread that through the needle. I'm going to start with my 4th hole. So again, I'm coming from the back to the front. I'm pulling, and then I'm going to go down through my 4th hole. So just like the drawings, here we go. I'm going to do my 5th hole, going through the back, pulling up, going down, just like that, and my 6th hole, so coming from the back to the front, and going back down. Okay, and then I've got one last hole to do. So I'm going to come up from the bottom and push it back through, and see I'm right here on the edge of my note card. It's kind of tricky pulling that through very carefully, and there we go. Now I'm going to let my needle and my thread just kind of slip through. I'm going to pull this a little bit tighter because I can see I have a couple that are not real straight, and I want that to be not too tight, but a little bit more firm. There we go. And so now what I want to do is I want to go to the back of my card, and I'm going to get another piece of small tape. I'm going to tape that just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to trim off the excess, and there's my line design on my card. And so if you want, you can go ahead and put your name on the back, or you can put it on the front. And put Mrs. Barlow. I'm even going to date it, because if you want to give this to your parents, because they probably like some kind of little thing from you, you can just put today's date. Today is May 24th, 2023. And again, if you want to do any other designs, I have some poster board. The poster board's going to be a little bit thicker, or have some tag that you can use. And you can basically create any design that you want. Now that you have your pattern, it's just you need these simple things. Here's the checklist of the items that you would need to be successful. And that's it. So happy sewing today, and if you want to view this video and do it this summer, that is perfectly fine.